Hello, everybody. I'm Alan Powell from the Essex Bridge Center. This is our fourth class. We're working through defense. Today, we're going to be discussing second-hand play, right? So, second-hand play, first concept we're going to talk about is second-hand low. This is your default option. So when Declare plays a low card from his hand, from his hand towards dummy, or a low card from dummy towards his hand, the second person to play usually will play second hand low, right? Barring one of the many exceptions. There are some exceptions, but as a general rule, this concept will serve you well. So just a visual representation of that, right? Declare leads low from his hand. West would be the second hand. That would be second hand low, right? Dummy would have to then play a higher card than they wanted because it's East on this hand that will be the trouble spot for Declare. East is the one who gets to play last of the trick. Because East plays to the last of the trick, Dummy will have to play a relatively high card to prevent East from winning the trick cheaply. So lead from Declare, second hand low. Dummy will have to contribute something high. So West doesn't have to waste his assets. Dummy will have to contribute something, and then East gets to play last, right? Same principle, the other way around. Dummy leads. East is now second hand. East can play low, second hand low. Declare will have to play a card to prevent West, who gets to play last of this trick, from winning the trick cheaply, right? So positionally, this is a positional thing, right? You are the second person, but you're the first one in your partnership. Your partner still gets a chance to play a card. And because of that, you shouldn't commit any of your assets unless you need to. All right. So the two concepts, second hand low, third hand high, they kind of go together, right? When second hand plays low, typically third hand is going to play high because fourth hand still gets to play the trick, right? So second hand doesn't have to waste its cards. Third hand has to provide a card high enough so that fourth hand can't win cheaply. All right. So in concept, it's relatively easy. I'm going to show you why it matters. So we're going to run through some examples where and I'll do it both ways. If you do it right and if you do it wrong, right? So this particular example, the contract is 3-no trump, right? Declare is leading the 3 of hearts from his hand. West is second to play here, right? So West should play second hand low. He should play the 2. Dummy will then be forced to play the queen, right? If Dummy played a lower card than the queen, East would win the 10. Declare doesn't want that. Dummy plays the queen, East wins the ace, right? So if you do it right, if West plays the 2, second hand low, it goes low, low, queen, ace. This is what's left, right? So East has won the trick, right? And now I want you to see that positionally, West is in a good place here. West has the king and the 9 over Declarer's jack, right? So if East plays the 10 or the 4, it doesn't really matter. If he plays the 4 and Declare plays the 5, West can play the 9, right? And it wins the trick. If it goes 4 and Declare plays the jack, West wins the king, and then East 10 will win the trick. So by playing second hand low, West conserves his assets there, right? And is able then to take an extra trick, right? So in this scenario, they won the ace on the first trick, and then they still get the king and the 9. That's 3 tricks on defense by playing second hand low. If they don't do that, let's say Declare plays the 3 and West pops up with the king. Well, Dummy's obviously not going to play the queen now, right? Dummy's going to play a little card, right? And East will play a little card. The king wins the trick. You can win the trick with the king. There's no doubt about that. The question is when, right? So West wins the king, and now the queen and the jack are still there for Declare, right? Queen will force the ace. Jack will take the next trick, and the defense is held to merely the king and the ace because the king did not pull any full value there, right? By playing second hand low, the queen goes into the ace. So we've captured one of Declare's honors, and then etc. By popping up the king and Dummy not having to play a high card, we did not get full value of our assets. You only get 2 tricks. Okay. Another example. So here, declare leads to 5 from hand. West, you have ace 10 3. You should play second hand low, right? Play the 3. Dummy will have to play a higher card, right? If dummy plays the king here, it'll win, right? If dummy were to play a lower card, then he's can win the jack or even the 8, right? So declare is not going to want that. He's going to play the king from dummy, right? East will play low, all right? And if you've done that successfully, West still hangs on to his ace 10, right? He didn't waste any of his assets there. Dummy has 2 little ones. East has the jack left. And positionally, you can now see that the queen 9 gets trapped into the ace 10, right? So if he's if declare plays this suit again, now declare won that trick, he might not play the suit again, but if he does, the 2, he'll play the 2, East plays the 6, declare plays the 9, 10 wins, and then ace wins, or queen into the ace, and then 10 wins, right? So positionally, these 2 hands ended up similarly, right? And what I do want you to see is that you're sort of taking a defensive finesse here. The concept of position, the concept of being in front of somebody or behind somebody is very important on both offense and defense, okay? And it's something for you to try to wrap your heads around. The good thing about finessing when you're on defense is you'll know whether it'll win or not, right? Because you can see, in this case, dummy, and you know dummy doesn't have the queen. So when East plays low and declare plays the 9, you know the 10 will win, right? So 1 of 2 cases will be true when you're finessing. Either you'll see the card in dummy and you'll know where it is, or you'll see that it's not in dummy and you'll know it's in declare's hand, right? So, but you still need to make sure that you have a good grasp on the positional finesse, right? It's going to be very important throughout your both offensive and defensive bridge career. So if you do this one wrong, let's say that West pops the ace. So declare leads low, West puts the ace on, right? Dummy is not going to play the king now. Dummy's going to play low. East is going to play low. And you've won the ace, but now the king is going to be high in dummy and the queen is going to be high in the hand, right? So instead of only taking 1 trick, you know, on the last hand, declare got the king of hearts, but did not get another trick by popping up with the ace, by playing second hand, popping up with the ace. Dummy does not have to commit a high card, and therefore declare gets 2 tricks, right? I would also like to point out that this is one of the very important reasons why you don't lead on supported aces, because if West were on lead in this case and West led the ace, what would happen? Well, the king would be good, the queen would be good, and the exact same thing. So whether you do it second hand, whether you do it on an opening lead, be careful with your unsupported aces, right? So second hand low, conserve your assets. Dummy will have to play a high card, and then hopefully good things will happen to you. All right. Okay. One more example of second hand low. Here, declare leads to 5. West, and now you have the ace 3 2, right? So you don't have the 10, you don't have the 9. On the other hand, we had something good, right? But that doesn't mean your partner doesn't have something good. Okay, so you should still play second hand low here. Play low. Dummy is forced to play the queen, right? He can't play low. He doesn't want East winning the 10. Dummy plays the queen, right? So if that is the case, it would then look like this. East still has the jack 10, right? West, you have the ace, and declare has the king, and you'll see that that king is still trapped, right? You can still finesse that king. And when East plays the jack, declare, if he plays the king, the ace wins, and now the 10 is high, right? Or jack, if declare plays low, West plays low. And you know that you can play low because you can see the dummy, right? So being on defense, you know, has its perks in that you have a good idea of whether this particular finesse will win or not. You know exactly. This one suffers from the same problem as the previous, in that if you pop up with the ace on the first trick, you know, the queen's going to win in dummy, the king's going to win in hand, and you know that 6 is going to be good as well, right? So second hand low, right? Conserve your honors. maybe something good will happen. It is possible that when declare leads low here and that you have ace 3-2, that declare might have the jack, right? This might all be a moot point. But if declare has the jack as well as the king, it doesn't matter what you play, right? You're going to still only going to win the ace no matter what. There's nothing gained, nothing lost. The difference is if you do it wrong and declare has the jack, it doesn't cost you. And when it doesn't cost you, it doesn't seem like it was a mistake. People might not notice that it was the wrong thing to do to play the ace in that circumstance, right? The cards sometimes punish you and sometimes they don't. Okay. And we'll see that as a common theme in some of our hands that we're discussing today. So, in a lot of cases with second hand low, when you're playing low and then declare has all the cards, it doesn't matter whether you played low, it doesn't matter whether you played high, right? But when your partner can contribute something and when the position works, second hand low is very important. Since it doesn't hurt to do it, you should do it, okay? Every rule has exceptions, right? So there's a couple exceptions here to the second hand low, and that is if you're the defender who has most of the assets in this particular suit, specifically if you have touching honors, you might need to play one. You might need to do what we call splitting your honors, right? This is a voluntary choice of splitting honors. We talked a little bit about this idea last week, the lower of touching honors in the third hand context. Now, third hand, you were forced to play third hand high, right? And you were choosing which card, which would be the lower of touching honors. In this circumstance, it is entirely voluntary that you are playing the card because you could play second hand low. So if you choose to play the honor here, you still play the lower of touching honors. You're not forced to do it, but it may be a good idea depending on what you can see in dummy and what's going on the hand. All right. So an example of this would be declare leads from hand, right? West has the queen, the jack, and the 2, right? So in this case, West should play the jack, which forces dummy's ace, right? The jack will force out dummy's ace, and it will prevent dummy from playing a lower card and winning the trick. All right. Because we have the queen jack, it's likely that East is not going to be able to contribute anything. So we don't want the case to be declare play a low card, we play a low card, dummy play a low card, and East not be able to beat it. When we could simply solve the issue by playing the jack, right? So if I play the jack here, I end up with this position. Dummy wins the ace, right? And now my queen is sitting behind the king. And this is what I mean by understanding position. If declare plays another card in this suit, dummy, let's say, plays the 10 and East plays low. If declare plays low, I win my queen. If declare plays the king, I won't play my queen and I'll win the queen on the next trick. So the fact that I play after the king, positionally, I'm behind the king with the queen, allows me to guarantee that I'm going to win a trick, right? And this is entirely predictable because I knew the ace was in dummy and I knew the king was not in dummy. So I knew that if declare has the king, I would be behind it. So positionally, playing the jack, forcing out the ace gives power to my queen. If I'm lazy and I just play the 2 on this particular hand, what happens to me is I play the 2. What if dummy plays the 10? East can't beat it. And now the ace wins and now the king wins and I never get a heart trick. So by splitting honors, I can force a heart trick here, right? So you have to pay attention, especially in circumstances where you have the balance of the strength and you're worried that partner won't be able to contribute something and you don't want dummy to win a card cheaply. All right. So splitting your honors, always play lower of touching honors for the same reason that we did at third hand, because if you play the jack, partner will think, oh, well, maybe he's got the queen. If you play the queen, partner will know you do not have the jack, right? But you might have the king. So split, lower of touching honors. Okay. So the idea here is you're using your assets to force declare to play a higher card than he would otherwise because you don't want him to play a lower one. Okay. The other exception to second hand low is you're not required to play second hand low if you think it's imperative that you win the trick and you can, immediately beat the contract. Sometimes you think, about playing second hand low while you're the card you could win was actually the setting trick, or you could get in with that trick and you could play something back to partner and beat the contract. If you can beat the contract, it is probably in your best interest to ignore the second hand low rule and get in there and do it, right? Because if you can beat the contract, declarer also knows you can beat the contract. And the fact that he didn't take all his tricks means he's trying to get something, right? He might be trying to sneak that last trick he needs in to make his contract. All right. So an example of this, opening lead by West is the queen of spades. That's our partner, right? Dummy plays the king. All right. We can't beat the king, right? So we play, what would you play? Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but you probably want to give an attitude signal of the 3. It's not a very big attitude signal. Dummy plays declare plays the 4 from hand, right? And declare immediately plays the 4 of clubs. And the question is whether you should play the ace or not. All right. So should I play the ace or not? So let's think for a second. When the opening lead comes down, is made and dummy comes down, declare will usually take some time to think. During that time, you should also be thinking, right? Don't wait for a declare to play a card before you start your thinking. Use your time wisely. Opening lead is the queen of spades. First thing we do when a partner leads an honor against no trump, start thinking about what he could have led from. Queen, top of a sequence, queen, jack 10. No, can't be, I have the 10. Queen, broken sequence, queen, jack 9. Nope, can't be, I have, dummy has the 9. The last possibility would be ace, queen, jack. So partner has led the queen from ace, queen, jack. So that being the case, I'm fairly certain that we can run the remaining spades right now. Is that enough to beat the contract would be my question, right? To do that, we need to decide whether partner had 5 spades or not. And that's a more subtle point, but I can tell you that if West had 5 spades, that would mean declare had at most 3, right? If West had 4 spades, that would mean declare had 4 spades. Does declare have 4 spades? Pay attention to the auction. The auction went 1 no, 2 clubs, 2 diamonds. South does not have a 4-card major. Therefore, West has 5 spades. Therefore, win your ace of clubs. Play back the 10 of spades. Beat the contract, right? Now, that's a lot of thinking, and I understand that you may not be comfortable with all of that at this point, but that's the process you want to start working towards. Opening lead is made. Read the opening lead. We talked about that in the first week, right? Especially against no trump. Gather what information you can from the auction, and then decide how you're going to play, right? So while dummy is thinking about how to play the hand, because presumably dummy will take a moment, count his tricks, realize he's 1 trick short, and play a club to try and sneak it. And then you have to have done your thinking so you know to pop up with the ace and beat the contract. All right. So you don't have to play second hand low. It's not mandatory if you think it's time to get in and start playing your tricks. All right. So I'd like to move on to cover an honor with an honor. So this is sort of a subtopic of second hand low, and that it's still going to be a second hand play that you make, right? Second hand low is typically going to apply when declare leads a low card from hand or dummy towards the other hand. If dummy leads an honor rather than a low card, and you as a defender have a higher honor than the one that they led, generally speaking, you should play that honor on their honor. Cover an honor with an honor, okay? That forces declare to use 2 of his honors on the same trick and may be able to promote some winners for defense, right? And those winners might be in your hand, and those winners might be in your partner's hand. You can't see what's in partner's hand, right? So if there's a potential that partner could have some tricks, it is a good idea. Cover an honor with an honor. It is absolutely a bridge maxim that you need to understand, right? Technically speaking, it's an exception to the second hand low rule, right? And you'll find that the exception, in fact, has its own exceptions. So, but it is an important topic to understand. So basically here, when declare leads an honor, if you have a higher honor than that, you should consider covering it, right? So in this circumstance, declare leads the queen from hand. West, you have the king. That's right over that. Now you can see the ace and the jack and dummy, right? But don't let that worry you. Queen, if you play the king, it will force dummy to play the ace, right? Partner will play the 7. But look what happens, right? Dummy's jack is now good. Well, that was going to be true anyway, right? But after the jack is played, the next heart will be won by East's 10. So by putting your queen on top of the king on top of the queen, you gave power to East's 10, right? You turned East's 10 into a trick. Queen, king, ace. They had to use 2 honors on the same trick. Jack was the only honor they had left. 10 became a trick in your partner's hand, right? Cover an honor with an honor. If you don't do it, so you play, the declare plays the queen. You play low. Dummy plays low. East plays low. Well, the queen wins, right? Okay. Entirely predictable. You can see the ace, jack, and dummy. You know nobody can beat that queen except you, right? You're the only one with the card higher. So queen, low, low, low. And then declare plays the 3. And you are stuck. You play the 4, dummy plays the jack, right? East plays the 9. Dummy plays the ace. Your king goes. Dummy 6 is good. How many heart tricks did you win? 0, right? So by not covering, you let the queen win, right? Then you let declare win the jack. Then you let declare win the ace. You didn't force 2 of those honors onto the same trick. And your partner's 10 was never able to take a trick. Your king was never able to take a trick. Okay. So I think this is probably the scenario I see people get wrong the most is cover an honor with an honor. Now you can't see the 10. You don't know your partner has it, and your partner might not have it. That's okay. If your partner doesn't have the 10, that means declarer has it. And if declarer has the queen and the 10, it doesn't matter what you play, right? You could play the king, you could play the 2. It doesn't make a difference. If declarer has all the cards, the finesse is going to work and you're never going to get a trick. So by covering, you give weight to the possibility that your partner might have the 10 and your partner might be able to trick, and you allow for the possibility that your side could take a trick here. So cover an honor with an honor. All right. This is the most obvious example I see people have trouble with. But that doesn't mean it's almost always true. You should definitely adopt this as your default choice if it's possible. So in this case, dummy leads the 10 here from dummy, right? Declare leads the 10 from dummy. You as East have a higher honor than that, right? So cover an honor with an honor, play the king here, right? Declare will then be forced to take the ace, right? And partner will play the 7. Okay, but you got 2 of declare's honors out on the same trick. And look what happens. On the next round of the suit, dummy plays the 3, East plays the 5, declare. If he plays the 8, West wins the 9. If he plays the jack, West wins the queen. Either way, West has 2 more heart tricks here. Now, you have the defense had the king and the queen. You're always entitled to 1 trick. You can always get 1. The question is, can you get 2, right? So cover an honor with an honor. You force the 10 and the ace to go on the same trick. The jack is now swallowed by the queen, and the 9 becomes good. So you made one of your partner's cards good by doing this. If you don't cover, well, it'll go 10 from dummy, low from your hand, low from declare, and West will pay the queen, right? So you got your 1 trick. But now the ace, jack are behind your king, right? So when dummy plays the 3, you play the 5, declare plays the jack, it wins. Declare plays the ace, takes your king. Declare plays the 8, it's good. You only got 1 trick, right? So by not covering, you allow the 10 to force out the queen. You leave declare with more honors to take your honors with, right? So cover an honor with an honor, all right? If declare happens to have everything, if he has the ace, queen, jack, it doesn't matter what you play, right? Again, if declare has ace, queen, jack, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever, right? If declare has the 9, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever, but it doesn't make the play the wrong choice. It just means that sometimes you won't be punished for if you don't do it. Okay. So same problem as the second hand low. You're not always, it doesn't always go badly for you if you don't do it, and therefore it's not always clear that you've made an error. Okay. Cover an honor with an honor. Okay. Of course there are exceptions, right? This first exception isn't really an exception in the sense that you are still going to cover one of declare's honors. The question is which one, right? So if there are 2 touching honors in dummy and declare leads one of them, so you can see 2 touching honors in dummy like queen jack or jack 10, what you should do is you should wait and cover the second one. Okay. And that may prevent declare from catching some of your partner's cards. So in this particular circumstance, when dummy leads the queen of hearts, now you can see that the jack is in dummy, right? So you know partner doesn't have the jack. You're not going to promote the jack in partner's hand. But you should still cover. You just want to wait and cover the second one. So if declare leads the queen, you play low on the first time, right? And it goes low, low, low. The queen wins. And then if declare were to play the jack, you'd slap your king on it, right? Okay. So you're still going to cover an honor with an honor. You're just choosing not to do the first one. You're going to have 2 chances at it, covering the second of touching honors. So if you let the queen win, this is the position that's left. So when dummy plays the jack, you play the king, declare has to play the ace, and your partner's 10 will take a trick, right? If dummy plays the 9, you can play low, right? Declare plays low, West wins the 10, right? Declare plays the ace, your king is good. You've got them in a pickle. Whatever, if they play the suit, they have to give you a trick, right? So by covering the second one, you make declare's life difficult, because if you cover the first one, this is what it looks like. It goes queen, king, ace, small. And now dummy still has the jack and the 9, and it's over your partner's 10-8, right? So declare plays the 2, West the 8, dummy the 9, right? Jack wins, and you never take a trick down. I will tell you that this example might be too difficult at this point for you to fully grasp. And I understand that, but I just want to put it in there to show you that you still cover an honor with an honor. Just if there's 2 of them that are equal, you might cover the second one, right? Or you should cover the second one. And there are a number of cases where this is the correct choice. So I just want you to be aware that there's an exception. It won't cost you a lot in the long run if you cover the first one. I absolutely want you to follow cover an honor with an honor. And, if you don't get this nuance, that's okay. The mandatory thing, cover an honor with an honor. Okay. The other exception would be don't cover an honor with an honor if there's no hope of promoting anything for the defense. So, for instance, if you're looking at dummy and dummy, has the 10, the 9, the 8, and all the cards that you were hoping to promote by covering, don't cover, right? There's nothing to be gained there, right? By covering an honor with an honor, what you're doing is you're taking up 2 of declare's honors in the hopes that you will promote something in your partner's hand. If there's nothing in your partner's hand to promote, and there's nothing in your partner's hand to promote, then this is not the right time, right? So if there's no hope of promoting a trick, don't cover, all right? So an example, opening lead here is the king of spades, right? Dummy plays low. East plays the 8. Now that should be an attitude signal, right? South plays the ace. What kind of attitude signal is it? Well, I certainly see lower cards out there than the 8, right? So I think it's very likely that my partner is giving me a positive attitude signal. Now, if declarer wins the ace, partner, in order to get positive attitude signal, probably sitting on the jack, right? So declarer wins the ace, and declarer immediately plays the jack of diamonds, and you have the queen, right? Should you cover the jack of diamonds? All right, so that is the question. Looking at the dummy, you see the ace, the king, the 10, the 9, the 8, right? So there is nothing you are going to promote in partner's hand by playing the queen. So you should absolutely play low. It doesn't cost you anything. Nothing you do here will promote anything in partner's hand. So go ahead, play low, right? And you'll find on this particular hand that if you covered it, it would go jack, queen, ace, and the declarer would run king, 10, 9, 8, right? All of his diamonds would be great. And then he'd take the hearts, and that would be enough for him to make his contract. But if you don't cover it, the jack is played, you play low. If dummy plays low, declarer wins that trick, but he has no entry to the diamonds, does he? Right? If he plays jack low and wins the ace and the king, your queen now becomes a trick. Right? So he can't both finesse and take all the diamonds. The only way he could succeed on this hand is if you covered the jack of diamonds with the queen. Since you can see that there is no benefit to doing so, you do not need to cover. Okay. Basically the entire week's concept can be covered by the statement, second hand low, but cover an honor with an honor. And if you do that for your entire bridge career, that will cover probably 90% of all the instances and stand you in good stead, right? There are exceptions, splitting your honors, right? Jumping up to win the trick to beat the contract, covering the second of touching honors, don't cover it, it's hopeless. But just the simple statement on defense, second hand low, but cover an honor with an honor, will drastically improve your defense if you're not already doing it. Okay. It's as simple as that. All right. So that will cover this week's class on second hand play.